Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. Today we're looking at another motherboard from ASUS. This time we're looking at a TUF series board, but this is the Z790 Plus Wi-Fi. Now I actually asked to look at this because I was a real fan of the TUF series ones, and I was just curious basically to see how the Z790 differed from the more affordable B650 and B760 ones that we've looked at before. Now they do have a DDR5 and a DDR4 version. This is the DDR5. In terms of differences, there's nothing really between it other than using DDR4 and DDR5 support. A couple of little aesthetic changes which I'll tell you about as we get there, but other than that it's pretty much the same. While I open this up, I just want to tell you that you can actually get some cash back on this board. There's also loads of other products currently in the little campaign that Scan are running to give you money back on TUF products. So now is a good time to buy one if you're in the market for a new motherboard, because you can get £35 off this board. There's deals across loads of different components, also some peripherals on there I think as well, and I'll put all the information you need to know about the eligible products in the description. So first of all, we've got our Wi-Fi antennas. That was a lot of waffle, sorry guys, but I was just trying to tell you all the details that I possibly can within this video. Of course, we've got our motherboard, and then underneath we have some SATA cables, one of which is right angled. We've got a couple of pads for single-sided M.2s. There's another standoff for an M.2 there, and also a little screw. We've got a nice motherboard manual, some stickers, warranty information, a certificate of reliability with the TUF boards, and then also a driver disc. Oh. So aesthetic differences between the DDR4 and DDR5 is just this heatsink on the top here, then also by the chipset. A little bit different in how it looks. I just prefer this one personally over the DDR4. But like I said, feature-wise, they are very much the same, minus the memory support. So let's have a look at the top left. We have some very chunky heat sinks for all of our chokes and VRM cooling. There's a lot of weight there as well. That's very thick material. Of course, we've got our LGA 1700 socket. So that's Intel 12th and 13th gen support. Now let's have a look and do our usual run around the board. So at the top, we've got two 8-pin EPS connectors for your power. Going along, we've got two 4-pin headers. Then there's an additional one on the far right top of the board. Our DDR5 DIMM slots on this one will support up to 7200 megatransfers per second on an overclock. That's using XMP. You can push it further if you want to do a manual setting. Just to the right of that, we have got a 12 volt RGB connector, and we have a Gen 2 ASUS 5 volt connector. Our 24 pin motherboard connector, we have a USB Type C connector, which is USB 3.2 Gen 2. There's a USB 3 header, which is USB 3.2 Gen 1. We've also got a PCIe quick release below that as well, which we do love to see. It makes life so much easier when you're benchmarking stuff. On the angle, we have got two SATA 6 gigabit ports. Bottom right, as usual, we have our front panel connections. We've got an additional channel fan, so that's our fourth 4-pin. There's two more SATA 6 gigabit ports coming straight out the board. Another additional 4-pin. We've got a USB 2 port, so great for anything that takes Corsair commanders or NZXT hubs, things like that. Additional two Gen 2 headers for our 5 volt addressable. There's another 4-pin connection, then we've got our front panel audio. There's also another 4-pin connection up by the socket too, so in total you've got 7 4-pins on this motherboard. So that's it for the connections around the board. Let's talk about our slots and storage. So our PCIe connection, this is a Gen 5 connection, and then we have our first M.2 below. Taking off the cover, we've got a thermal pad on the back. Don't forget to remove the tape before you stick that down. Our first storage slot, this will support up to 110mm drive. This is a Gen 4 slot. We don't have any Gen 5 support for storage on this board, unfortunately, but that is something you can get with the next boards up. The H, for example, is a new launch that's just come out that does have a Gen 5 storage slot, and a little bit more expensive as well, so that might be something you want to look at if you want to go for a Gen 5 NVMe at some point in the future. So 110 slot on that one. We've also got an additional slot just below. That's another 80mm, so Gen 4. And then we have got another cover, which has two more thermal pads underneath. Then we have support for another 110mm drive and another 80 on the right. So 4 NVMe support on this board. So you've got 2 up to 110 and 2 up to 80mm, all running at Gen 4. You've got some other PCIe lanes as well. So if you want to put any expansion cards, capture cards, things like that, always good for there as well. And there's another 16X along the bottom if you need it. So onto the rear I/O. On the left-hand side, we've got a DisplayPort and HDMI, so great if you've got a K-series processor, always handy for troubleshooting and things like that. The 4 blue USB ports is USB 3.2 Gen 1. You've got 2 green ones, which are USB 3.2 Gen 2. Our first USB-C at the top is a 20 gigabit port, so USB 3.2 Gen 2x2. Then the additional USB-C further down is USB 3.2 Gen 2. We've got a 2.5 gig LAN, Wi-Fi 6E antennas. There's also Bluetooth built in the board as well. Then you've got your 7.1 options and SP diff at the bottom. pretty feature packed for the price. $289 currently on scan for the DDR5, $279 for the DDR4, and like I mentioned, you've got the cashback options as well, so that would really drive down the price by about £240 once you get your cashback. So very good. Impressed with the board, nice lot of features, and I do like how it looks as well with the heatsink design and things like that as well. So I'll add this and also the DDR4 variant links in the description box below if you want to check any out. Also the links for the scan campaign that's running at the moment to get yourself some cash back. You can check out all the products that are eligible in the campaign. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about the board down in the comments box below. Thank you to ASUS for sending this out for me to look at. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.